Hello, welcome to the video, to the channel. And in this video, we are going to talk about methods a little further. In the previous videos, we kind of went through one type of method. We created it, how it was kind of written. And this is a method that has no return type. So if you remember from there, it's a void method. It has nothing to return. And it takes in no parameters. There's nothing inside of these blocks here. And we just created a couple, messages that we will print out as it runs. We kind of showed the example of that. We'll run this real quick just to see where it's at this point and the use of our methods. All right, so here's a simple method being printed out each time. We have a welcome message method with a copyright message right here. We have a exit message right here, and then we just reuse our copyright message. Okay, so what we're going to talk about now is another type of method that is available to us. And this method we're going to have now is a method that has no return but does take parameters. Okay, in this one here, we'll actually just quickly set up some variables. We'll set up a string. We'll call it let's say it's student name. Okay, oh jeevers, there we go. Student name, let's say student name, teacher name, we'll go with, let's say course name. These are all strings. Let's say course code. Just copy and paste all this stuff and change the names because we're just using the same stuff. Course code, we'll just we'll make a new one here for maybe we'll use a byte, and we'll say we'll use a double. We'll use a double here. Double student grade. Oh, got it right. Grade. Just make it equal to 0 for now. We'll use we'll just take another string. That's fine. This is fine for now. Okay, so our student, we'll just type in some stuff here. We'll say the student's name is Jim John. Kind of a dumb name. Bill Berg. We'll use Bill Berg. Course name, we'll call it Intro to Java. Right, the code name, or actually we're going to go with course underscore code. Okay, and we'll just give this like the if you're in school or anything, you've seen that before, JVA 101 or whatever, it's JVA 101. Okay, and the student's got a 85.6 grade point or grade. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to set up a method that is going to print out a report card essentially with all the data that is up here. Okay, say we went in, we gathered all this data from the user at one point, and now we would like to print it out to the screen. And you could sit here and you can go with it like this. You could say system .out .print, and if you need to work through some logic like this, that's fine. It's not a big deal. So we could say student, or we'll say course name first. Kind of make it a little bit look like a report card, I guess. I don't even know what that would actually look like these days, but so course name. Take this value, we'll print it into here. Okay, and we'll go with, we'll just copy this. We'll go down, we'll go course name. We'll say teacher name. Take his name, put it down here. We can go with, we got this course code. This is kind of a weird one at this point, but I'll show you what we're going to do with that. Come down here, we got student name now. Student name, you might have a student number, stuff like that. You can, if you want to put that stuff in, that's fine. We're not really going too crazy at this point. So student number now. Student name, or student name, sorry. We have, so we got this one in, we got this one, we need a student grade. All right, Alright, student grade. Years plus the student grade. Alright, so we kind of got this stuff together, and we can come up here if you want. We can type in, we can do it in two different forms, so we can do it both ways if really necessary. Course code, we could put it here. Go with course code. You could also take it and maybe make it, you know, if you wanted to append it into this section here, we could say plus, you know, usually you would see it kind of looking like more in this form here. That's fine, we could do it both ways, you know, it's not a big deal there, course code. Okay, and I'm going to take these and we're going to remove them for now. We don't need these in our application for the moment. So we're just going to print this off and kind of see what's happening here. All right. So we have our, you know, our gathered data, and we're going to print out all that report card of the student. All right. So that works. I'm just going to fill this out a little bit more. Introduction to Java. Not a big deal. So now we're going to create a function, or sorry, a method that is going to allow us to do this. Okay, this is one task, right? It's kind of a print of the report card. So what we'll do is we'll come down here and we'll come outside of our main again. We don't want to be inside the main anymore. We want to come outside the main but stay inside of our public class. Same thing as before. We'll type public static void, and then we'll give it a name. So print, say report card. All right. And then we'll do the brackets with the curly brackets, okay? Now, we'll simply take this stuff, we'll drag it down into here, all right? This is part of the method now. And you'll notice that we get a bunch of these, you know, red lines here. This will bring me into the fact that what happens here is that there's the scope of a variable, okay? So these variables up here, these blocks where we're, you know, storing our data is actually living inside of this main method, okay? So nothing outside of this main method can truly see these, okay? They can't, these are not being seen by anything outside of it. They're not, you know, they can't be used directly. They can't be changed directly through this form. You know, you couldn't type in here, you would like to change the teacher's name, you know, how we would usually do. You wouldn't be able to change it in here, okay? Because it technically does not live inside here. It does not belong in here, right? So this brings me into that whole logic of now passing in parameters. So if you would like to use values that were, you know, declared inside this public method, if you would like to use them down in here, we would have to pass them through into here, okay? And that's like, these ones here have no return. It's a void method, does not return anything, and have no parameters. Well, like that one, like this one down here, we can copy this up, put this here. It has no return because it's a void method, but it does take parameters, okay? But does use parameters, all right? And what we're going to do is we're going to actually pass them through in here. We're going to get this set up, okay? We need to know the course code. That's one that comes in. And if you're having a struggling time, or if you're struggling on trying to figure out why and how these get passed through or whatever, what we're looking at now is the actual value that you're going to pass through. So it says course code here. We know that we need to use a course code. If we look up in our logic here, we have a variable called course code, and it's a type. The data type is string, okay? So we're just to take this right here, copy it, and put it right down in there. What you're essentially doing now is you're declaring variables inside of this, method. You're declaring them inside these brackets, but they are now allowed to be used inside of our program, all right? And now, you know, before when we were talking about this, if you were to take this and rename it, it says, oh no, you already got this, you know, here, variable course code is already defined in the main method. Well, that's right. You cannot rename it inside of the main method. We definitely can rename it the same value outside of the main method, and because we are now working inside of the report card method, you can then rename it to the same as you would have up here. And it's kind of good practice to keep them the same name. It's easier on yourself to know what you're using in it. Maybe easier for other people when you're developing with them what to use in it. All right. So now next one we have is our course name. We can then just come up here, we'll copy this, we'll bring it down into here. We have our course name, we have our teacher name, and if you know what each one is, if you know the teacher name is a string, it's simply just type the data type that the variable is, and then a variable name. And now you do not actually, you do not have to name them the same. They could be anything that you wish to name them. But when you do this, you just gotta know that this is for the teacher, so this is X, and then we would have to change this down here to X, all right? So it's very important for you to know it as to what values are being used, okay? We have a string for the student name, so we'll just copy this guy, we'll bring it over, just change this to student. Okay, so I hope this is kind of becoming a little bit more easy to you. And the very last type here, we got the grade. If we look up in our our declaration here, it's a double. It's the data type double, so we're going to use that. Okay, double, and we say student grade. All right, so now it's all used. Everything is now being passed in. All the values are now being passed down into here, okay? And they're not necessarily being passed yet. They are being definitely set up to being passed, okay? In order for us to actually truly send these values down to be used, what we're gonna have to do now is invoke, call, or use the method. Okay, so we'll come up here now and we'll just go quickly. Print underscore report. Oh geez, I hit my touchpad. I always turn it off, but somehow it always turns back on. Report card. All right, and then we have now the same way that we would use our other methods, but now you'll see it's wrong because we have parameters. So however many parameters are set up down inside this parameter box or this parameter brackets down here, you need that many parameters up inside the method call. Okay, now order does matter. If you do get this wrong, because we have a string, a string, a string, and a string, it will take them. You can definitely take them in that form. You can put teacher name here if you were to take this value and you wanted to actually pass it through. And I'll show you. I'll just do it kind of. You got these different things that are it's gonna look weird though, because I'll show you exactly what's going on, and it's kind of probably good to see it in the wrong form and then hopefully to get it. Now you cannot get the double backwards because the double is not a string, so it will just absolutely error right out. So again, this is kind of you need to have this in its form. You see here, incompatible type string cannot be converted to a double. Well, that's obvious that it will not work. Okay, and you can see now everything's working. So let's run our piece of code, and I'll show you kind of what I was talking about by the order here. All right. And you'll notice the course code is Bill Berg, and the course name is Bill Berg Introduction to Java. Teacher's Jim John, which I think if we look up here, student name's actually Jim John. Student name's now the course code, and the grade's obviously normal. Okay, so this matters. It matters in the form of how you put it together, so be careful when using your methods that you do use them in the proper way. There is another technique that can be used, but right now this is, for now, you need to just be careful of how you do this. So the first one we take in is actually the course code. So we'll take this, we'll just drag this over to here. The teacher name is actually a third, so we'll just cut this out for a second. Okay, so the second one we get is a course name. Then we get the student name, so or the teacher name, so we'll kick this over to here. And then we'll just put the teacher name into here. All right, and the very last thing is our student grade. Okay, so now our method is actually formed properly when we run it. you'll now see that these correlated data is being sent down to be used inside of our method. Okay, so very quickly we can just walk through the logic. We start here in our main, we jump down, we declare some variables, create some storage containers that we can store values into. We then jump down here to the print report card method, and we send in the course code, we send in the course name, we send in the teacher name, we send in the student name, and we send in the student's grade. Now when we come down here, we then accept the course code in this, we then accept the course name, we then accept the teacher name, we accept a student name, and we accept a grade. We can then come down and complete our print report card task by simply printing out each line using the data that we sent in for it to use. Okay, when it does come back out, it simply prints off all these, or completes these statements, jumps back out, starts here again, and then, well, ends here at this point, ends down. I guess we could say it ends here and continues along, and we have no further logic to complete. So now, we have a parameter, or a method that now it uses, or it has no return, but it uses parameters. Okay, so hopefully that's clear to you. We'll work some more into this. You'll see at the very end of this how this is all going to really kind of piece in together. But for now, that's pretty much it on a method with no return but uses parameters. So I'd like to thank you for watching the video. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you have any comments, questions, or ideas for future videos, be sure to leave it in the comment section below. If you could subscribe to the channel and check out the rest of the channel, that'd be wonderful. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.